welcome back to Storytime with YDRC. Today, we're going to be continuing Klawde Target Earth. Last time we left off right at the beginning of Chapter 7, which is where we're going to continue for today. So let's get started. All the other stuffed animals were tagged and set out, but I just couldn't bring myself to put a price on Brownie. What kind of person sells their teddy bear? What's that you got there, Raj? It was Lindy, walking over from across the street. "Aw, look at this guy," she said, pulling the bear out of my hands. "It's a little dirty and kind of smelly, but he'd scrub up nice. He looks like a Cuddles. Do you like that name, little bear?" "His name is Brownie," I said under my breath. The front door banged open, and Dad came out of the house, carrying a mug of coffee and a folding chair. "You coming to help, Dad?" I called. He laughed. "Oh, no, just watching, son. You're doing a great job." He took a slurp of his coffee as he settled into his seat. "It's a wonderful day for a yard sale, isn't it?" "Hey, Raj, what's this?" Lindy asked. My dad looked up, saw what she was pointing at, and immediately shot out of his chair. Whoa, 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 Raj. What do you think you're putting that out for sale? Putting that out for sale? The broken lava lamp? Yes, the lava lamp! You can't sell that. He snatched it off the table and cradled it in his arms like a baby. "Sorry, Lindy," he said. "I had this in my college dorm room, and it's a part of me." Then Dad started pulling other things off of the table. Magnetic paper clips and my polar bear mug. "Dad," I said, "can you just go back to your chair, please?" In the end, Lindy decided to buy my old Monopoly game. I told her I was missing half of the money, but she didn't care. She handed me $2. "I'm your first sale!" I took her money and opened my laptop. Mom wanted me to enter every purchase into a spreadsheet. "It will be a good lesson if you ever start your own business." But my stupid computer was acting up again. "My mom can totally fix that. She, does computer stuff for a living," Lindy said. "I can take it to my house right now." "Sure," I said. "Thanks." After Lindy, we had no customers for a while, and I was starting to worry that the yard sale would be a disaster. But suddenly, a whole bunch of people showed up, and all of them bought something. Well, all of them except Mr. Wallace from down the street. $5 for this? You want $5? He asked, holding up an unopened box of headphones. "Why not just go rob a bank?" Grumpy neighbors aside, I was feeling pretty good about how things were going, until I heard the scrape of skateboards on the sidewalk. I knew who it was before I even looked up. "I thought this was supposed to be a yard sale, not a junk sale," Scorpion said. What's the matter? The garbage company wouldn't take any of this garbage?" Scorpion laughed way too loudly at his dumb joke and tried to high-five Newt, who clearly didn't find it funny. "We sold all of the good stuff already," I mumbled. "Aw, look at this," Scorpion said, pointing to my animals. "Are these baby stuffies?" "This one's kinda cute," Newt said, picking up Brownie. I was surprised. But then again, every once in a while, Newt did say something nice. "Whatever," Scorpion said. "How much do you want for him?" Newt said. She seemed to really like the teddy bear. And what I was hanging on to Brownie for anyway. He lived in a box in her garage. Just take him." "Thanks," she said. Newt stepped off the curb and laid Brownie face down in the middle of the street. Then she ran over him with her skateboard. Scorpion laughed. Sweet, he said. Let me try. Claude leaned into my ear. I have skinned enemies alive for lesser transgressions. For once, I didn't think he was being unreasonable. Chapter 8. The yard sale was long and tedious, but by the end of the day, my human and I had a large stack of green paper rectangles, plus many silver coins. The boy human shuffled through the dollars, counting them. We must be extremely wealthy, I exclaimed, purring. We made $57, he said, probably 60 with the quarters and dimes. Excellent. What can that buy us? Surely at least one weapons-building drone. Maybe dinner, the boy ogre said, shrugging, at Bob's Pizza Palace. I spat in contempt. What a waste of nap times. We must sell things of greater value. What of the motorized vehicles? Can we sell the fortress? Certainly that would be worth many hundreds of dollars. We can't sell our house, Claude. We live in it. This was infuriating. If we can't sell our way to riches, how else can we make money? Well, the boy ogre said, there's work. What do you mean by work? I asked. Is that anything like napping, scratching, destroying the fortress of your enemy? Because that would be a most fun way to make dollars. Work is the exact opposite of fun, he said. It's when you spend a long time doing something you don't want to do, usually something that's really hard or really boring, usually both. This work was the most horrible human concept yet. No cat would ever do anything anything they didn't want to, I said, unless their warlord forced them to. Well, here on Earth, no one can force you to do things for them. They have to give you money. Like how Lindy gets paid to walk Mr. Mitchell's dog. That was an odious task indeed. One could smell the brute from a block away. Are you saying that all wealthy people became rich by working? Well, no. Really rich people are usually born that way. And other people get rich when their grandparents or whoever die and leave them a fortune. This sounded promising. Perhaps you have a wealthy loved one or ancient relative near death? I asked. Alas, he did not. Chapter 9. I'd finally cleaned up the last of the leftover yard sale junk when Cedar and Steve rode up on their bikes. How did Rook go, Raj? Cedar asked. Yeah, Steve said. How much money did you make? $61, I said, and 35 cents. Wow, he said. That's it? Yeah, I said, and I have to give half of it to my parents. But you did all the work yourself, Cedar said, and they aren't even here. My dad was supervising. Just then, Dad came walking out of the house carrying a glass of iced tea and wearing an enormous pair of headphones. He settled back into his chair and waved at us. Hey, Dr. Krish, Cedar and Steve both said. Hi, kids, Dad shouted. Man, thank goodness that's over. It's hard work running a yard sale. He leaned back and crossed his legs. At this rate, I'll have to have 40 more garage sales to buy that headset, I said. Maybe you could get a job, Steve suggested. Don't you have to be in high school to do that? I asked. Hey, I have an idea. How about we start a business? It's fall cleanup time, so we can rake leaves and clear gutters and stuff. There's a kid on my block who paid for his car that way. We can split the work and the money. Then you can get that virtual reality headset you're always talking about, Steve said. And I can get the telescope I want, Cedar said. The Astro 9000. Well, I know I need my lawn raked. I turned and saw Lindy's mom walking across the street with my laptop. She explained that she had defragged the system, removed some grayware, whatever that meant, and doubled the memory. It should work a lot better now, she said, handing it to me. Wow, thanks, Mrs. Langston. She gave me a big smile. Please, call me Annie. Then she held out a big Ziploc bag. Anyone want cookies? There's still more, Steve whispered. I was taking a second cookie when Annie cleared her throat. Raj, I have to say that your search history is rather interesting. She looked at me sort of sideways. I'm sorry to have looked, but I wanted to see if you'd visited any suspicious sites. Your computer was so slow that I was worried you'd downloaded some malware by mistake. I stopped chewing. For real? I didn't find any viruses, thankfully, she said. But why were you Googling things like how to conquer Earth and weaponized squirrels? I didn't search any of that, I said. Really? She looked skeptical. Then why would it be on your computer? I have no idea, I said. Except, wait, I did. Klawde. That cat was going to get me into serious trouble someday. She said. Well, in the future, you do need to be careful about the sites you visit. You don't want to be a crypto worm. That did sound scary. Okay, thanks again for fixing it, I said. As she crossed the street to go home, she turned back. And I'm serious about the lawn, she said. With Oliver away on his foreign exchange program and my husband always traveling for work, it's more than Lindy and I can handle. I'll pay $20 an hour for the three of you. Cedar, Steve, and I all high-fived each other. That's so awesome, Steve said. That's like $10 an hour for each of us. It's actually not, I said. We have to make flyers and a logo, Cedar said. It'll be so fun. Yeah, well, except for the yard work part. But I'll do it for the VQ. Cedar turned to Steve. You never said what you want to buy. I don't know, he said, shrugging. But if I spent it all on Frogger at Quarter World, I bet I'd finally get the high score. Cedar patted his arm. You just keep thinking about it, she said. Chapter 10. My 19th nap of the day resulted in a brilliant idea. The ancients were right. A feline's best thinking does only happen after the first 18. It was simple, really. I would just manufacture the money myself. Primitive though the ogre's scanner and printer were, they could transfer images from one flat sheet of crushed up trees to another. And since these dollars were nothing more than green rectangles of this paper, I could print as many of them as I wanted. I would use them to buy the VQ Ultra, as well as all the rest of the technology I needed. Purr. When I explained my plan to the boy ogre, he shook his head. It doesn't work like that, Claude, he said. Only governments can print money. If you copy it, it's called counterfeiting. And that's totally against the law. Such absurd human regulations obviously did not apply to me. I was hardly a citizen of this pathetic planet. But the boy ogre explained that no store would accept homemade dollars. Hiss. Of course the petty warlords of Earth kept such a mighty tool to themselves. How frustrating that you must actually have power before you can abuse it. So how do I become a government that I may print money? Forget it, Claude, the boy ogre said. I do not understand why he was always so negative. By the way, he added, do you know that you almost totally blew your cover? When Lindy's mom was fixing my laptop, she saw my search history. Your search history. He opened his computer and turned the screen toward me. Weapons building drones, brainwashing technologies. Are humans edible? Long-term effects of the Earth's toxic atmosphere on the cerebellum. Why were you looking up this stuff anyway? He demanded. I swished my tail. Because you don't have any of the answers. The ogre just shook his head and sighed. I hated when he did that. Chapter 11. Sunday was the first day of Three Gardeners Lawn Care Company. The name was most definitely not my idea, or Cedar's, but The Three Musketeers was Steve's favorite old movie, and he won rock, paper, scissors on what to call us. Three Musketeers is about these three really cool friends with swords who, do good deeds and stuff, Steve explained. And we're friends, and there are three of us. He held his rake like it was a sword and slashed it through the air. That's a terrible name, but whatever, Cedar said as we fanned out across Lindy's yard. We'd barely even gotten started when Steve stopped to take his first water rake. Cedar, meanwhile, raced an old-fashioned mower. The kind that doesn't have a motor, back and forth across the yard. And I was doing my best with the raking, even though I kept sneezing and having to stop to blow my nose. I think Raj is allergic to yard work, Steve called down from the tree that he was sitting in. Actually, it looks like you are, Cedar said. How about you get off your butt and start pulling up that crabgrass? By the time we were done with all the mowing, raking, and weeding, it was way past lunchtime. Cedar had blisters, my nose was so stuffed up I could barely breathe. And Steve? Well, Steve was just Steve. He kept trying to get us to play Three Musketeers with rake handles, and when we wouldn't, he lay down in the grass next to Flabby Tabby. They both had their eyes closed and were sunning in their bellies. Aw, it's like Steve's a cat too, Lindy said, walking out of the house with a tray of lemonade. Lindy could be annoying, but right now I was really glad to see her. The lemonade was delicious. She smiled at us. I was the first customer at your yard sale, and now I'm the first customer of your yard business. Or my mom is, anyway. Pretty cool, huh? Totally, I said, pressing the cold glass to my hot cheek. It felt great. Chapter 12. The boy ogre came in looking tired and extremely dirty. Are you raking in the money, ogre? Haha, very funny, he said, wiping his nose on the back of his sleeve. What is that leaking out of your nostrils? I asked. Are those your brains? Are you going to die? If you do, will I inherit your money? I have allergies. I did not know what these were, but I assumed they were not worth dollars. How much money did you earn today, ogre? $20, but I didn't even get it. When we were done, Lindy's mom realized that she didn't have any cash in the house. She asked if we took credit cards, which we obviously don't. Then she offered to pay us in cyber money. He sniffed. I think she was joking. When I asked him what cyber money was, the boy ogre shrugged. I think it's actually called cryptocurrency or something. A search on the ogre's web browser revealed to me that cryptocurrency was virtual money, and that it was made up of digital code instead of green paper, and it was not controlled by governments. Individual humans could create these currencies. They simply needed unbreakable encryption and vast computing power. Of course, the computing power here on Earth was pitiful compared to that of Litterbox, and the humans' encrypted files were kittens' play to unlock. And so, with minor assistance from Floofy, I could create a vastly more secure and thus more valuable cryptocurrency than any ogre could. In other words, I could make my own money. I immediately descended to the bunker to call my minion. "Oh, hey there, supremist butt sniffer," Floofy Fear answered. All-powerfulest warlord. My plan had lifted my spirits so high that I let the insult pass. It took me some time to explain human paper money, but Floofy grasped cryptocurrency instantly. "Oh, it's just encrypted code?" "Barely," I said. "It only runs to 100,000 lines." "Is that all?" Floofy said. "I know," I said. "Pathetic. If you want something really unbreakable, I have that 8 to the billionth power encryption used to send orders to Colonel Acorn's mercenaries during the War of Walnuts. It uses a super nifty Torg algorithm, and it's got a Glacian block cipher with..." "Don't talk to me about it," I said. "Start coding." "Okay, O grandest leader," he said. "No problem. What are you going to name your money anyway?" I purred. "I shall call it Kitcoin. After all, K is the human's most interesting letter." Chapter 13. In the week and a half that the Three Gardeners Lawn Care Company had been in business, I never felt like I stopped moving, because in addition to the stuff I always had to do, the homework, clubs, and chores, I also worked with Cedar and Steve every day. We bagged leaves, cleared brush, spread mulch, cleaned gutters, and pulled weeds till our fingers cramped. It was miserable. I was miserable. My nose ran constantly, and I always felt tired and hungry. So when I got home from raking up Mr. Wallace's yard after school on Thursday, I collapsed into the couch. Mom was rushing around, getting ready for some kind of smart person awards dinner. "I must praise your industriousness, Raj," she said as she kissed me goodbye. "Such initiative will one day be rewarded." That's what I'd been hoping for, but the reward wasn't coming fast enough. Even though it seemed like we were making a ton of money, split 3 ways, it was not a lot. And my mom had decided that since I had a new revenue stream, I should buy my own ice cream and comics. Who knew that a rainbow sprinkle waffle cone with 2 scoops could cost $6? I counted my money this morning, and all I had was $117. At this rate, I'd have to work a year before I could buy the VQ Ultra. Dad wandered into the living room wearing his hat I was sure I had sold at the garage sale. "I'm mighty proud of you two, son," he said. "I can tell that you're working really hard." "Yeah," I said, "but I'm still not making that much." Dad's face lit up. "Well, I can help you with that." "Like with a loan?" I asked hopefully. "With more work," he said. "I've got some great ideas for those extra chores I was telling you about, buddy." He sat down and wrote a list. "You want me to sort your baseball card collection? And make you a snack when you get home from work? And help you put on your socks? And my back is so stiff in the mornings that it's hard to bend over," he said defensively. "And, you should make yourself a snack too." I shook my head no, until he handed me 10. "Here's an advance." "Fine," I said. "Just don't tell your mother," he said. "That'll cost you extra." Dad laughed, but I was serious. Now, how about you get off that couch and make us some popcorn? Chapter 14. It had been a trying 10 moonrises. My minion, working at his typical plodding pace, had taken 3 of them to create the most sophisticated virtual money Earth had ever seen. Yet somehow, the humans did not race to purchase my currency. It was not until I bombarded online news outlets with the propaganda the humans call a press release that the human ogres began to take notice. Now sales were moving briskly. Checking my account, I was pleased to note that I had made well over $100,000 in the last hour. My good mood was somewhat dampened by the wheezing sound of the boy ogres trudging up the stairs. He was muddy and exhausted, with his brains again leaking out of his nose. You should really get that looked at, I said. He fell face down upon the sleeping platform and told me how much money he had made today. Wow, 15 entire dollars, I said. How very impressive. In the 6 seconds it had taken me to speak, I calculated that I had made $168. The boy ogre might not be getting the VQ Ultra anytime soon, but I could think of someone who would be. Purr. Chapter 15. On Sunday morning, a phone call woke me up. I covered my head with my pillow, but whoever it was kept calling. Didn't they know it was the weekend? Steve, I said, finally picking up, why are you calling me so early? Early? He said. It's after 10. We were supposed to be at the new job already. Didn't you get all my texts? I groaned. I'm on your porch, by the way. Grumbling, I went downstairs and let Steve in. While he read an old copy of America Man, I got dressed, shoved a pack of Kleenex into my pocket, and took some allergy medicine. We met Cedar in front of her house, and then the 3 of us biked to a neighborhood I hadn't been to before. Cedar told me it was called Waterloo, and it was where all the rich kids lived. Here's the place, Steve said, stopping in front of a huge leaf-covered lawn. Whoa, Cedar said, grinning. We're going to make a serious payday. But then she looked at the name on the mailbox, and her expression changed. Hold on. Please tell me this is not... What's up, losers? Scorpion's yard! A narrow, mean face was peering down at us from an attic window. Have fun cleaning up after T-Rex, nerds, he yelled. I looked closer at the yard. The grass was high, but it didn't hide the giant piles of poop. Steve turned to me in horror. Does Scorpion have an actual dinosaur? A man walked out of the house who must have been Scorpion's dad, even though he looked totally nice and normal. Hey kids, he said, glad you could make it. My son said I should call you because you could really use the money. Pretty thoughtful of him, huh? Yeah, real thoughtful. Before we race, sir, there's a lot of extra stuff in the yard, I said. What do you mean? He asked. Well, the yard is full of mountains of dog poop, Steve blurted out. Scorpion's dad squinted into the grass, then turned to the window that Scorpion's head was still poking out of. Son, when was the last time you scooped the poop? He hollered up. Scorpion shrugged. I don't know, a few months ago. Who cares? These gardeneers can take care of it. Son, poop scooping is your job, and T-Rex is your Great Dane, his father said firmly. Come down here this instant. I hired your friends to pick up leaves, not doggy doo-doo. Scorpion let out a scream of disgust as his face disappeared from the window and he slammed it shut. Gee, thanks, Mr. Scorpion, Steve said. Mr. Who? He asked. Nothing, Cedar said quickly. We appreciate your business, sir. All right, so that's where we're going to end it off for today. At the beginning of chapter 16. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe before you click off this video so you don't miss the next one. Bye.